Okay, so should you focus on the 5K and building speed and becoming a better 5K runner before you move up in distance? Or should you build endurance in the longer distances, which is going to nicely feed into you becoming a fast 5K runner, 10K runner, and onwards? Great question in the comments from Cliff. Thanks, Lee. I love your vids. My question is about tactics for building out my training. Should I first try to improve my, for example, 5K time, then build my endurance, or increase my endurance and then pace? I'm thinking about how to improve my half marathon time. These questions are brilliant, so please keep them coming in the comments below. And if you're having a question, this is why I love them so much, the chances are that other people at your level or beyond or before are having the same question as well. So just by answering these questions on camera, it's providing me with good content. So what do you think? Now the answer to this is really funny because usually friends of mine will get into running and very quickly they'll say, okay, I've been running 3-4 weeks and I'm doing a marathon with my friends at London, or I'm going to Berlin in September. What do I need to do? And very quickly we jump to the longer distances because in order to say that you've run a half marathon or a marathon, I get it, it's a big thing. It's impressive for you to be on your feet running for that long. I totally understand that. For me, what is way more impressive is a really good 5K runner. And I don't just mean an elite 5K runner, I mean somebody who has understood distance running to a point that they understand that if they hit the interval session and build speed, and they hit the long run and build endurance, initially just long, slow distance, and then getting specific with the long run, and that feeds nicely into 5K, and they've built a strategy and a plan and a training schedule, and it's all about that 5K, there's a few things that will happen. First of all, you can race more often the 5K than you could, for example, a half marathon or marathon. It's not going to take that much out of you. Within a couple of days, you're going to be recovered and you're going to be able to go on training, which is going to mean the second point, your training stays consistent and you continue to improve. It's also going to make you spend more time in the running community. So you're around knowledgeable people, some faster, some slower, but everybody's got something knowledge-wise that maybe you don't know. And it's great and it's infectious to be part of that community. It also means that if you become a good 5K runner, and this is the simple point, but it's so underrated. If you become a good 5K runner, you're going to become a good 10K runner because those two are closely correlated. When you become a good 10K runner, there's a close correlation to half marathon running. And to go at 5K, then 10K, then half marathon, it's way easier and way more optimal than to go distance and gradually improve the speed to become a good marathon runner, good half marathon runner, and then start to improve your speed. A lot of people jump into the longer distances too quickly and become good at going slow over the ground. Totally get it, it's impressive that you can run that distance. What's more impressive, if you can optimize, become the best possible 5K version of yourself that you can. To do that, the interval session is going to look something like this. Again, we'll come on to the long run in a minute. Endurance, stamina is super important. So the long run that you're doing on Sunday is going to feed nicely back into the 5K. I'll tell you how to do that in a second. But the interval session, let's start with something simple. And by simple, I don't mean it's easy. When we run in intervals, the purpose, as we should always think about purpose before we go out and run, purpose of this run is to recover. So I want to feel better at the end than I do at the start. Purpose of the interval session is to make you faster. So it's to build speed, but for you to control the session so that you've an overall average speed of the session is helping you to improve at your goal race pace. So everything in these sessions is focused on 5K race pace. To 12 times 400 meters, we can make that very, very difficult, or we can make it very easy for ourselves. And the only variation between those two, hard or easy, is going to be the pace that we run those intervals. And we're going to keep as a consistent recovery time. Always keep 60 seconds as a recovery time. We want to be teaching our heart rate from going from high to low recovered so we can go again as quickly as possible. That's going to be a good indicator of fitness. It's going to be a good indicator of, and very useful in races as well. If you go into the red, to bring it back, very, very useful. It's going to help us control the session and control our breathing. To 12 times 400 meters with 60 seconds rest in between. And you need to learn to pace that session. Pacing is key. Being in control of that session is key. So the way that you run is key. Keeping your style, everything's aligned, you're landing mid-foot, you feel comfortable in the session. You want to feel when you finish, good warm-up, good cool-down, but when you finish those 12 reps, 400 meters, you want to feel like if pushed, you could do another 2. That's how you want to feel. So you're getting compensation, but you're not pushing the body too hard so that it takes too many days for you to recover to then do another session, the endurance long run, on the Sunday to gain more super compensation. Remember, this is about consistent progress over time. So it's not about going as fast as we possibly can and then taking 5 days to recover, and we can't do, because what's going to happen there is you'll try to do the long run on a Sunday, the wheels will start to fall off, but they won't fall off quite, so you'll do the next interval on a Wednesday. Within 3 or 4 weeks, you're injured. And then you have a bad relationship with running fast or running far, and you'll consider that that will lead to injury, when in actual fact, it's just you overreaching. So get used to pacing that session. 12 times 400 meters is a great session. 4,800 meters of hard work, and we're gonna keep that session at round about 5 kilometers of hard work. Then what we wanna do is chop it up. So to make that session a little bit harder, next session, so the next Wednesday, 10 times 500 meters. Again, we keep the recovery at 60 seconds. So that keeps consistent, stays consistent. 10 times 500 meters is a little bit more difficult than 12 times 400 meters. Psychologically, it might be easier for you because there's only 10 of them, not 12 of them. And you're running a little bit further, 25% further, that extra 100 meters, but you should be able to hold round about the same pace or a little bit less. But eventually what we want is to cover 5 times a kilometer in the pace that we were running, 400 meters. And that's the important point. So over the weeks, we go from 12 times 400 meters, 10 times 500 meters, maybe 8 times 600 meters, 4,800 meters again. And then maybe we do 6 times 800 meters, and then maybe we're ready to tackle 5 times a kilometer at the same pace that just a few weeks before we were running for 400 meters. But again, it's about control. So can you control that 5 times 1 kilometer with 60 seconds rest, still run it at the 400 meter pace that you were doing 6 weeks before, but you feel as if you could do another rep or another 2 reps? If you can control that, then maybe you either want to up the pace or up the total volume of the running hard, of the hard work that you're doing. How good of a 5K runner is that going to make you? Add on to this that the weekend long run, where you're building endurance, that might start, if you're new to long runs, it might start with an hour, just long, slow distance, being out there on the feet, gathering endurance. After 2 or 3 weeks, you might start to want to get specific with that long run. So you might go out there and you've built to an hour 15 or an hour 30. You might want to go out there and run 30 minutes easy, and then 15 times 1 minute at 5K pace with 1 minute float in between. What I mean by float is essentially deceleration before you accelerate again once you hit the rep. Your watch is all set up so you know what you're doing, and then 30 minutes on the end, easy. So an hour and 30 minutes of long run, so lots of endurance stimulus you're hitting, but you're doing 15 times 1 minute, only 15 minutes of hard work, much easier than your interval session, but it's within the long run. So you're hitting twice a week, Wednesday and Sunday, you're hitting training stimulus, which is tying great and really well into you becoming a fast 5K runner. Just try it and let me know on the results, because it's very, very, very simple, the running game. It's just about patience and discipline and work ethic. And that's why most people shy away from it, because it's not sexy to talk about work ethic and discipline and consistency. It's sexy to see that finish line shot of you running your personal best time. Totally get it. And this delayed gratification that we're all looking for, we're all eventually going to receive, that's the part that makes us warm and fuzzy, and that's the part that really we're congratulating ourselves. But initially, patience, consistency, dedication, determination. If you've got anything from this video and that helps you, and if you've got a question, please pop it in the comments below and I'll answer it either on video or straight away. But if you get anything from these videos, please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell.